Hi everybody, this is Bobby with Bobby Stamps, and I have a cute candle holder that is also a card. I was going to put a piece of Whisper White in here so you could write a note. I used a brad, and you could also maybe like put the Whisper White from there down if the brad bothers you, but it kind of blends into the paper so it doesn't really bother me that much. But I really didn't want to cover up that part of the paper because it's just so pretty when it shows through, I think, with both the colors. Now this is my test one. I really wanted to do it on the, I can never remember these names of these papers when I start my videos. I know what they are. Early Espresso. But I only had one sheet, so I did it with Garden Green to make sure I got my measurements right and everything. I've seen a couple variations on YouTube, and I just kind of tweaked them. One made it too small. I'll show you really quick. I thought I had these over here with me, but this one, the card just wasn't wide enough for the design that I seen for that one. And then this one, I honestly can't remember. It didn't hold enough votives, so it wasn't wide enough either for the one that I wanted. And then this is one of my trial ones. So as you can see, it took me about 3 tries to get my measurements down to the way that I wanted mine. So you don't have to trim. This is a 12 by 12 piece of Early Espresso. So you need to only trim it down just a bit. It's 11 3/4 by 9 1/2. And then you're going to need the window sheets. And these I might have to tweak and trim them down just a bit once we get to putting it together. You just need a piece of scrap Daffodil Delight to do your sentiment on. And then I cut these 2 pieces at 3 by 6 1/2. And again, I might have to trim them down just a bit if need be. But that is from the Painted Autumn DSP pack. And then this is our window sheets. So I'll move those out of the way. And these are just brads that I've had in my craft room. I'm a scrapbooker, so I had those on hand. And then you're going to need a little bit of burlap ribbon. And the only ink we're going to use for this is Garden Green. So I'm just going to set everything out of my way for right now. And then you will need your Simply scoreboard. And I'm just going to make sure that I have all my directions so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so on the long side, we're going to start out and we're going to score it at, let me see, a 1/2 inch. So we're just going to score it right there. And then you're going to score it at 1 1/4. And I added a few of these after the fact, so I just want to make sure I'm going slow and I don't miss anything. So we're going to score this one at 3 3 3/4, and then 5 1/2. And I hope this one doesn't throw me off, because when we go to cut, this is the one I added because I wanted to have a mark for where we fold. So that's why I put that mark there, so I would know I would have an edge to line my fold up on. And then we're going to turn it so the score lines are at the top. And then you're going to score it at 3/4 and 1 1/2. Then we're going to rotate it to where all of our score lines are at the bottom now and do the same thing. We're going to score it at 3/4 and 1 1/2. Okay, and I thought I had added another one, but I don't see it written down, so maybe that was the only one I added. Okay, now let me get this out of the way. Now you can either use your trimmer to do the next step. I have a hard time lining these up in the groove and getting a nice straight cut when I try to do that, so I am just going to use my snips. So the first score line, we're going to cut it all the way up And I'm just going to go slow because I don't have very big scissors. So we're going to take it all the way up to which would now be our our third score line. And then you're just going to nip that right off. And then the inside one, you're going to trim it up to the second score line. And then just trim that right off. Then you're going to flip it around, and the first two squares we're going to trim off. I cannot remember the lady's name. I wish I had my YouTube pulled up so I could tell you, because it's her design is the one I really went with, and I just tweaked it to change my side. But she's a UK demonstrator, and right now I cannot think of her name. And when I post this video, I will try my best to remember to look her name up and give her credit for this. So then we're just going to snip there on this score line, and on this score line you're just going to snip. I have to flip it over because I can't do it this way. So I'm just going to flip it over, and again on the outside score line, you want to take it all the way up to the third score line right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then snip that off, and then take this one up to your second score line, and then snip that off. And then the same thing, the first two squares, you're gonna get rid of those, and then you're gonna get rid of this first one, and then we're just gonna take this into that first score line. What we're doing here is we're creating our fold, so we're gonna be able to fold our card in, okay? So let me get rid of these scraps. Okay, and then let me bring some of my, just going to adjust the camera just a little bit better so I can see what I'm showing you guys. Okay, so the next, before we bend anything in and burnish our score marks, I'm going to cut my window out. And this is the hardest part for me, because I cannot cut straight like I told you guys. So this is going to be what is going to be seen on the outside of your box. So I'm going to leave it like this, so that way any cut marks or anything maybe that's going to go bad is going to be on the inside. And this is going to be a little bit harder to see. Let me see if I can zoom you guys in a little bit. So what I'm going to do, and it's going to be really hard for me to see because this is on dark cardstock, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to go in a 1/2 inch and make a mark, and then I'm going to move it down here, go in, and I'm going to make another 1/2 mark, because this is going to be my bottom and my top. And then I'm going to go in, I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to go in. I don't want to go in too far, so I'm just going to go in probably maybe right about there. And then what I did was I just kept making little tick marks to line up so I can draw my straight line here in a minute, is what I'm trying to say, guys. I had been looking at doing one of these, and the holiday helper that I'm offering for the 13 days of Christmas, if you receive my newsletter, you know what I'm talking about. It was designed by some gals that are on a team that I'm on. They put everything together, and she made one of these, and it was super cute. And I thought, okay, that is my sign that I need to be trying this, because what a coincidence that I'd already started on this, like trying to do some investigation, like how do you make it and that kind of thing, and get my measurements down and that kind of stuff. And then I seen that, and there's actually a couple of things that I'd been doing some research on that I wanted to make. So again, I'm just gonna line that up there, and I'm just going to go in just a bit. And I'm just eyeballing it, guys. I'm just doing what I think's going to look centered and not leave such a big hole. But I do want my window, you know, I want it to be a nice window where you can see the votives. And like I said, mine hold 5, and mine are party light. They're the party light votive holders, so they come in the they come in the nice little plastic containers there. These are just my own. I'm not going to give this away or anything. These are what I have in my craft room to try to help my room smell good. Okay, and then I'm just going to line my ruler up. And it looks like I got way off, so I need to quit talking and pay attention to what I'm doing. Okay, I don't know why that looks so off that way. But we'll just line that up. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going for a straight line. And I'm just going to bring that over. Now, I don't have a cutting mat that I can use. So I'm going to pause this video really quick while I figure out what I'm going to do for a cutting mat, because mine that I used is my sewing mat, and it would be too big. I don't think it'll fit on my table, and this is glass, so I don't want to scratch my glass. So hold that thought and I'll be right back. Okay, you should know that anybody that has paper crafting, they have mats, and I just happened to turn around and look behind me, and lo and behold, there I saw one. So I can't find my, well actually I know where my utility knife is, and I'm not gonna climb up on the ladder to get it. So I'm just gonna use this. This is what I use to open my mini boxes that I get from Stampin' Up. And I used to have a metal ruler, and now I don't. So I'm just gonna use this one and hope for the best. I know I had a little bit of an issue earlier when I did my design card, but hopefully. And I'm just trying to mark or watch and see, because I don't want to cut down past the bottom mark, and that looks pretty good there. So let's just flip this side around here. And I try to mark it so I know that's at 9, and then I want to stop at 23. Okay. And then let's get rid of these two. And then flip it around. And we'll do the same thing right here. And hopefully when I flip that over and look at it, it's going to be, everything's going to look even. And now I can't get my, there we go. It's something you don't want to put away with the blade exposed. Okay. Okay, that looks good. I'm happy with that. So let's get this out of the way. So now we can, and this is what I was talking about. This is my score line right here that I know where I'm going to fold this over to. That's the modification that I added to it, because I wanted to have a guide for when I get ready to do that part. So now I'm just going to start burnishing everything over. Okay, and then this one, just be really careful because it's just a tiny one. There we go. So we'll burnish that over. And let's see, I'm not sure if I did this one or not, so we'll just get them all while we're doing it. Fold these in. fold that in. Okay, and then do the same down here. Okay. Then on the tabs, I just have a cheap corner rounder, and I just rounded. You don't have to do this. You can just trim them like you normally do on any type of a project like this. Whoops. I'll show you in just a minute what I mean. But I just rounded them just to make it look a little bit nicer. It is a little bit tricky to get this in there. But if you're persistent, you can. And there goes my pen. Okay, so then we're just going to take our snips, and on these you just want to trim off just a little bit. Not too much at all. You're just going to trim it off just a smidge. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing at this end. And this is what I mean. If you didn't want to round your corners, you could just do this little thing, this little trick here to make the little ends close up easier. And you don't have to take off hardly anything to get those to work. Okay. So now the next thing I did, which we're not going to do the next thing I did because I put my paper down first and I shouldn't have. So this is what this mark is for, guys, is when we get ready to, looks like I forgot to do one of the most important ones. But we're going to fold this over, and that's why I wanted that line, so I could have a guide. Now, what you can do, I keep knocking everything off. Now what you can do is you can miter or fold your card in, or you can score it. I thought I had that written down at what measurement to score that. But what I did was I just kind of went something like this, and my bone folder just fell, and then just folded that down like so, okay? And then I'm just going to trim. There's just a little piece right there that I didn't get. Okay. Okay, so then this is where we're going to put, and I might have to rethink my green paper because this I'm not using green again. So what I did earlier was I just flipped it over because this side is the side we're going to bend back, so we want that side to be visible. So I do not like the green, so let me pause and I'll be back. Okay, so I had it right. I just forgot to cut the piece for the inside. You're going to need 2 pieces of whatever DSP that you want for your outside, and then your inside here, and then your other piece for there, okay? And since it's a card, you could put the Whisper White inside and write a note, or you can just leave it like you want. It's going to be fine either way. So I think the first one I'm going to put on is this panel. So let me grab some snail here. I was debating on trying to ink around the edges on this, but I decided against it because I just think it's just, the cardstock is just so pretty that we don't really want to do that, I don't think. Okay, and I just cut just a smidge, like I think it was 1/8 of an inch off the DSP. It was 3 inches wide by 6.5. And I want to say I just cut like 3/8 of an inch off. I didn't even do a quarter because I didn't want that much cut off. I just wanted enough of the early espresso to show through behind. Just a tiny, tiny border like I have there. So you can cut it however you want to do yours. And with this, I'm just trying to line these up here. And then I've got my line there. And then my fold mark where I folded it, so I'm kind of letting that be my guide. And then I'm just going to burnish that down really well. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this piece on before I bend that piece back. Now we could have, you know, put our brad in and then put the DSP to hide it, but like I said, it blends in so well, it doesn't really bother me. But I am going to use fast fuse on this piece, just because it's going to be the front, and it's going to be the one that has the brad that's going through it, and I just want a stronger adhesive than my snail for this piece, okay? And I'm just going to flip that over to help me kind of get this lined up. Okay, like that. And now your votives are going to set here. So if you wanted to put some kind of adhesive to kind of hold them, but I did not put anything down. I mean, mine are setting in there really well. My ends haven't come open. That one came open because I had it open just a minute ago to take it out. But if you guys wanted to put tape or, you know, something like that to hold those in, but I don't think you're going to have an issue with it coming open. Okay. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my brad out so I have it ready. And I'm just using the darkest brown of the ones that I have. And I think this is all I needed. And what I'm going to do is just bring that back. And it's a little bit harder because we have all of that cardstock. But I didn't want a bend. I didn't want a crease in mine. I want it just rolled back. So I'm just lining it up right there. And then I'm just going to take and lift it up just a bit and bring in my little punch tool. Punch that hole. And then my piercing tool, I should have had it out. This is how I did it earlier. I just lined that up and then took my pierce tool and went the rest of the way in for the brad because my little punch thing wouldn't go all the way through. And then just flip it over and open the wings up on the back of your brad. And how cute is that? And like I said, if that bothers you, come up with something, a decoration. One of the other things, the idea that I had was making like a half pocket here and then putting a tag in there, and then that would help camouflage that. But like I said, it's not a nuisance to me at all. It's not bothering me at all. So then we're going to take our window sheet and let's just make sure that we've got it cut correctly. And I'm going to have to grab my trimmer. I do not cut straight at all, guys, so I know it's not that much, but I'm not even going to try to freehand that. I need to take just a smidge. I mean, just a smidge off. Okay. Hopefully that was enough. Let me lay that in there again. And yep, it's too white too, so I'm going to take a smidge off the other. It's kind of hard to see this with the light glaring on it. I cut it a little bit wider than I really needed to, because in the first one I cut it just a little bit short, and I wanted room where you wouldn't see my glue dots that I use. So let me just kind of hold that up. You just have to make sure you're not on your one of your score marks, and I still am. So I need to take just a little bit off. And with that light, it just like blends right into my scoreboard or my trimmer. I don't even think I put it in enough to take any off. Let's try it again. I just hope I don't take too much off, because you can't really see the glue dot, but I could see it and it was bugging me just a bit. Hold on just a minute. I just got a little piece. There we go. That didn't get trimmed. This should be enough, I think. So let's lay it in there and try again. Yeah, that's going to be good right there. Okay, so what I used were mini glue dots. I just didn't want any to take the chance of anything showing through like snail. I tried a piece of snail and I could see it, so I was afraid that you'd be able to see it. So what I did was, and I kind of folded them in because you don't really have that much room to work with. So you don't want to really put them on there flat like they are when you take them off. So I'm just kind of like trying to roll it when I pick it up and then lay it on there like that. So just kind of roll it over on itself and then make sure that you're putting them right to the edge because you don't want them to show through your window. So I'm going to do probably another one down at the bottom. So that would be what, 4, I think. Do one here and then just rotate it around. And then like I said, I'm just doubling it over. That one I think I kind of got too wrapped around the end of my piercing tool, but it will still come off. And then we'll do another one right there. And if you guys are interested, I am working on my next class, and it's going to be a Christmas stamp that I'm using. Just going to put that one. I found it somewhere on my finger. I'm not sure where it came from. And I'm thinking of doing a holiday, one of these for the holiday, with holiday decoration for my class is what I'm trying to say. And I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not letting any of those glue dots show through, and they didn't. So then I'm just gonna do that. And if you wanted to, you could run snail, you know, along there. And then on this edge right here now, I'm going to take my fast fuse and just run straight along that edge. And I'm just going to put two strips down. Now it's easier if you can get your box closed and you just bring your flaps up and then bring your flap in, and then bend that over, get it pretty well squared like that, and then roll that over. And then you can kind of look and make sure that you got it on your mark. I guess you should have had it turned that way, but I knew it was going in the right direction. Okay, and then we'll just take these out now and slide them in here and see how that's going to look. Okay, so there we go. We got 4 votives. And then to finish it off, we're just going to take some burlap ribbon. And how I did mine earlier is I just kind of eyeballed it. And I just cut that. And then I cut one end going in that direction and flipped it. And one end in that direction. And then if you need to, you can trim it off. I think I cut them both going in the same direction. So let's redo that, so that way they're not going in the same direction. And then I just used fast fuse to put on the back. Put it right about there on my card. Okay, so I'm using the banners for you and the stamp that says for you. And I've already got it on my block. So all I need to do is grab that framelit there, the small one. Let me move this out of the way because I don't want to get that damaged. And I have a scrap piece of crushed curry. And I have to back this up or it's going to knock my basket off my desk. Okay, and there we go. Grab your garden green, and we're just going to ink up For You. Stamp it right there in the center. And I'm going to take some mini glue dots and my piercing tool, and I'm just going to put 3 on the back of my banner. Okay guys, I am so sorry about that. Right when I was finishing up, my battery died on my camera, or it was full. Not my battery died, the memory was full, so it cut me off. So I just wanted to show you guys, come back really quick so the video didn't end weirdly for you, and show you this was the original design, and this is what we just created, and I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you like it. Make sure that you visit my blog. It's bobbystamps.com, and I'll have the supply list. Sometimes I do instructional sheets with the supply list. Sometimes, usually if I do a video, sometimes I don't add the supply list. So who knows, just visit my blog, and if it's there, I always do a supply list, but if the instructional sheet's there as well, bonus for you. Stay tuned. I'm going to be doing my next Christmas class, and we will be making some cute 3D. I have some other things in store too, another candle holder that I'm coming up with a design for, and another special Christmas thing. So thanks guys.